This is Steve Zeltzer with Workweek, and there's an important struggle now going on in the Teamsters union. There's a struggle to provide an alternative leadership, an alternative program for the Teamsters union, which is a critical union in the United States, of transportation, of tourism, of workers throughout the industry, food processing, truck drivers, UPS, and it faces serious problems with AI and others. And joining us is Richard Hooker Jr. He's president of Local 623 in Philadelphia. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here again.
So, Richard, you are organizing. You're right now in Southern California. What are the issues that you're bringing up with Teamsters about your concerns about the union and where it should be going?
Right now, if you look at what's happening within the working class, and specifically the Teamsters, there is a big divide on the issues of politics and working class issues. So our largest contract, which is UPS, massive layoffs, building closures, automation and AI. That is the biggest threat to all working people right now is AI and automation. It's taking our jobs, it's harming our pension funds, it's harming our families. What is the plan to push back and fight against that? Now we understand that we can't stop it. It's here. But we have to make sure that we put language in place to protect jobs and preserve jobs, because our families shouldn't be struggling because billionaires want to get richer. We as working class people and Teamsters, what are we going to do about that? And I think there's no cry, there's no fight from our current general president. Why is that? Why there's no pushback on these issues? Because they hurt our members and the broader working class. What are we going to do to make sure our children have good paying jobs in the future? Everybody's not going to go to college. What are we doing to make sure they still have good paying union wages? Automation threatens that. What are we doing to push back on that? How are we training our members to do automation and AI? Are we training them? Are we preparing them for what's coming? We need to get more involved in these issues, because if not, we're going to be wiped out.
And as you said, this is not just an issue for Teamsters. There was a strike here in Los Angeles 2 years ago over the issue of AI for writers and the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA, and they said, and I interviewed them, that this was an existential issue for them. If they were able to bring this in, it would destroy them as a craft.
Absolutely.
It would destroy these workers. So it seems like this issue of protecting workers is not just a Teamster issue, it's a working class
issue. And I think that's what we got to do with our members, especially in the Teamsters. We do a good job of dividing our own members, people who vote, people who don't vote, race, creed, culture, sexism, racism, misogyny. The Teamsters do a great job of dividing each other, just like our bosses do. But this is a class struggle. Your boss is not your friend. Your boss is your enemy. I mean, we need to start thinking like that, because they don't care if you eat, they don't care if you have a pension, they don't care if you can take care of your family. It's the union's job to make sure that we still have these protections. But if I'm mad at you because you are black, or you're white, or you're a Republican or a Democrat, or you're trans, or you're an immigrant, what does that do with my pension? What does that mean? My boss doesn't want me to have one. Let's focus on the issues that'll make sure that we can continue to take care of our families. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, white, black, green, yellow. What does that mean? I want you to make sure you can go home, put food on your table, retire with dignity, and your kids can also retire with dignity. What are we doing about that? Class struggle is the issue right now. This is not a partisan issue. The Democrats and Republicans are the same two wings on the same bird. They are. Now, you may get more from the Democrats, some of them. Absolutely nothing from the Republicans. So why not focus on having a workers' party where we can fight for the things that we want and demand? That's the class struggle. How do we get there? Fighting each other is not it. So this election is bigger than a contract. It's bigger than a pension. This is a class struggle, and our members need to wake up. And it's our job as leaders to educate them on this is a class struggle. This is bigger than your paycheck. How are we going to survive when AI, automation, and the billionaire class is getting richer, the ruling class is getting richer, but we're getting poor in the richest country in the world? How is that even a thing?
And one of the things that happened at the inauguration, you had all these billionaires, tech billionaires, from Google, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, David Sachs. And aren't these the people that are bringing in AI to get rid of workers? I mean, it seems that in California, we had a situation where the Teamsters union and other unions were supporting a bill that would require a driver if you have a truck over 10,000 pounds. Mm-hmm. And Governor Newsom was supported by the unions, who gave millions of dollars to him, vetoed it twice. And it had near a unanimous majority in the legislature. They wouldn't overturn, reject his veto and overturn it. And yet, the unions are not combining together to fight this AI and I mean,
it's again, this is a class struggle. Gavin Newsom vetoing this bill, it just shows you what we just talked about. Republicans and Democrats, two wings on the same bird. Now, to go back to the inauguration, if everybody remembers, normally when a president gets inaugurated, he has his cabinet up there with him. Who did Donald Trump have up there with him? All the oligarchs. All of them. He's letting you know who his loyalty to. It's not to the workers. It's not even to the country. It's to the people who can profit off of our labor. And then and I don't mean to, throw my man under the bus, but guess what? Our general president was there. Why is labor in hobnobbing with people who don't want you to have a job, want you to have a contract, want you to have a pension, want you to have a health care? Why are we there? We should be fighting that. But like you said, we're not together, and we need to get back to that because we're not going to survive like this.
And a big issue that the Trump administration and the Democrats have said of people crossing the border and immigrants in this country, that they're the problem in this country. That's why people can't get jobs. And there's ICE, $170 billion is being spent on ICE as a military force. Yeah. They're shooting at people in Minneapolis, they're murdering people, and they're attacking immigrants. Workers are afraid. They're afraid to go outside their homes with their families. They're afraid their kids are going to be picked up in schools. What kind of country is this becoming?
It's becoming a dictatorial, autocratic country. One man wants to rule with an iron fist. We were listening to a song on the way here. Nobody's illegal on stolen land. Nobody. That person who is trying to make it better for his family, that's my brother, that's my sister.
They built the American labor movement in Chicago.
Absolutely.
In 1886, the 8-hour day. Those were immigrant workers. Absolutely. Who were fighting for better conditions.
Absolutely, and this is what happened when you believe that you're better than the people that put you in these positions. Donald Trump, all the ruling class people made their billions and trillions almost off the backs of working class people. Think about that. If working class people were to get together, realize that this is a class struggle, we will be the ones making the decisions. We will be the ones with the power. But we got to get to that point. We're not there yet. And as bad as this current administration is, I think what you're starting to see is that people are starting to realize that power. Look at what happened, what you said in Minnesota. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Donald Trump, if it wasn't for what's going on in the ICE.
He's provoking it. He's an agitator and a provocateur.
He definitely is, and we have to rise to this moment, all of us, everybody in the working class, union and non-union alike, because the unions bring up the entire working class. So we need to grab hold to our non-union brothers and sisters, along with our union brothers and sisters,
and the community.
The community. That's another a big portion of this. I grew up in the church, and the church was a very big movement in the civil rights. Big movements happened in the church. You're right, with Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy and all those kind of groups, and Mega Evans. All these, it started in the community with the church, and the church going to have to get involved in this too. They're going to have to. Community groups are going to have to get involved because all of us are getting attacked. Every single working class person in this country is getting attacked. What are we going to do about it?
And today or yesterday, the President Trump tweeted a caricature of Obama and his wife as apes. Has the president of the Teamsters Union spoken out about this? I mean, to have a president using racist propaganda, saying that blacks are apes, it seems unreal that the president of the United States would support that kind of thing, and where are the unions challenging
exactly. Our current general president is not going to do anything He's not going to say anything against Trump, especially about what he did with Obama and his wife, Michelle. Think about it, this is Black History Month. The only black president we ever had and black first lady was Barack and Michelle. And this is what he does. Donald Trump is a racist person. Our general president has some racist tendencies.
Well, during the attacks in the first term of Trump, he was attacking Latinos. Yeah. He was attacking immigrants. I mean, he was like blaming them, black, brown, and the union leadership, where were they? Nobody that I heard said, no, we have to stop these attacks on our immigrants. And the fact of the matter is, aren't immigrants a large part of your members?
Large part of our organization, especially here in Southern California, especially here. But our elected leaders in these unions are not going to say anything because they're too afraid. They're afraid of Trump, what he may do. But aren't you afraid of what will happen if we don't do something? When are we going to put the fear back in those guys? We are the working class. If we put our hands in our pocket, guess what? Nothing moves, nothing flies, nothing gets delivered, no warehouses, nothing happens. So I just don't get it. I don't. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm too young. Maybe I got this ambition. Maybe I see something different. But I just believe that if working class people come together, there's nothing that we can't do. When you see racism like this, what Donald Trump did with Barack and Michelle, everybody should be up in arms.
And every union in this country.
Union, absolutely, because what he just did, if you really want to look at it, he disrespected every black person. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. You're talking about whether you agree with Barack or not. He made history becoming the first black man in this country to excel to that position. And this is what you do.
And they didn't believe, these racists didn't believe that blacks were entitled to be president of the United States.
They still don't. They still don't. They still don't believe that black folks can lead and that immigrant workers should have anything. And that's a shame. This country, unfortunately, was built on racism. It was. It was built on racism. Black and brown people should be happy just to be alive. You should be happy just to, that you get what we give you.
And they want to take down signage about the Civil War, about slavery. I mean, taking down pictures and signs and clean that out. I mean, as if the Civil War is a subject we shouldn't talk about because it may hurt some people's feelings.
In my city, in Philadelphia, right down there in Independence Mall, by the Liberty Bell, they have taken down all of the slavery information off the buildings. Why do you think that is? Donald Trump, man, is just a racist person. He's not going to change. Everybody knew this about him. They still decided to vote for him because misogyny and racism was more important than freedom, was more important than pensions, was more important than having a collective bargaining agreement. It was more important than just us being human. That's what it was. And now look at us. We're suffering right now. Prices are still too high.
Well, I mean, even the trade war, tourism, people don't want to come to this country.
Right.
I mean, agriculture, they can't sell products in California. The wineries are doing terrible. Fruit processors, they're shutting down. Right. And to attack Canada and to go to war with Canada, I mean, like our neighbors and Mexico. I mean,
right.
And that's going to literally destroy the economy.
And we have members in Canada. How do you think they feel? How do you think they feel? I don't know how anybody could vote for Donald Trump, especially after you know his history and his resume, and you still give him another chance. What disqualifies him? What does it? Now he's been caught up in this Epstein file stuff and the pedophilia. What disqualifies him? What disqualifies Donald Trump from being the president of the United States? Or anybody like him? What disqualifies him?
And there's been a call in Minnesota, Minneapolis for a general strike. Absolutely. And a mass movement. And at the same time, Trump has said that he wants to take over the voting. And he went to Georgia and seized the ballots. The question of a democratic election, the right to have midterms, are you concerned that he's going to try to shut down even the right to have elections in this country?
I think all this stuff that he's doing, he's trying to make it seem like that everything in voting is fraud. If it has nothing to do with him winning, oh, it was rigged, right? And I think what he's trying to do, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in the Insurrection Act, there's no voting going on during that time, right? So if I can kill Renee Good, if I can kill Alex Preddy, if I can make Obama and Michelle monkeys, if I can continue to attack the working class, something is going to break. It's going to be violence. It's going to be anarchy. There's going to be all kind of stuff. Now I can enact this Insurrection Act, and I don't have to have an election. I'll keep the House. I'll keep the Senate. Nobody's going to impeach me, and I'll be in office until 2028, no issues. That's what I think he's trying to do. He's trying to create a civil war where he can throw this act in there, nobody votes, he can continue to have complete control over everything.
So do you think there should be a united front in the labor movement of workers and unions to protect our democracy, to protect our labor and worker rights?
Absolutely, 100%. Because if we don't, we're going to lose everything. We're going to lose the right to vote. We're going to lose the right to collectively bargain. We're going to lose our pensions. We're going to lose our health care. Then what do you have after that? After you lost everything, what do you have?
And the kind of unemployment that's taking place now, people losing their jobs, layoffs all over the country, it's a frightening thing for working people. Where do you go? Where can you go? If you get laid off and with health care, you lose your health care. I mean, that's another issue. Health care, why we don't have single payer in this country. I mean, Canada, the Canadian Teamsters have health care.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I was against, because I wasn't educated enough on the whole Medicare for all or single payer. It wasn't until I got into this position as the principal officer in my local where it clicked that if employers have complete control over your benefits, they control you. I watched it with my own eyes. I had one of my members who had a chronic disease. She got fired and she couldn't go get her treatment. And later on down the line, she ended up passing away. That bothered me. These companies should not have control on whether you live or die. Where's the humanity in that? Where is it? And so I'm all for it right now. I'm all for it. I think also from a union standpoint, you take that ability for the employer to manipulate the contract. You know, we're not here for health care. We already got that. Let's put more money into our pensions.
So it would actually increase the wages and pensions if they didn't have to worry about the health care.
Exactly. Pensions, health care, job creation, job protections. But most leaders don't think like that because they don't want to harm their ability to get reelected or they don't want the pushback. I mean, you as a leader, you got to be truthful and honest. Things are not always going to be easy as a leader. Things don't get ugly. But you gotta lead people through that. And that's the problem with some of these labor leaders. They want to placate to all these anti-union people, but it's hurting your members. It's hurting the working class. And we were elected to lead.
And there has been efforts to suppress your right to run in the election. I mean, probably if it wasn't a federal law that required elections, a lot of unions wouldn't even want to have elections. I mean, the attack on your democratic rights and people who support you, people are afraid, they're intimidated. I mean, if they speak out, not only is the company going to go after them, but the union officials. Is this a real issue in the union?
It's a very real issue, especially in the Teamsters. You have a general president who, the last time he ran in 2021, he fired all kind of people, had to pay $2.9 million in a racial discrimination lawsuit.
And these were black organizers.
Yes, predominantly black and brown people. But the other part that people don't really talk about is there were 3 other folks who he fired for retaliation because they voted and endorsed the other candidate, which was Verma. One of those people was the wife of one of the candidates on the Verma slate, fired all 3 of them. And the members had to pay back almost 2 years of back pay, salary, pension, and all this other kind of stuff because of his retaliation. This is who he is. So think about this for a minute. You're married, I'm married. If a man disrespects your wife, he should be disqualified from just this person being just a human being. He went after these 3 people. One of them the wife of a candidate. Did her job. You got to be a low-down individual to fire the wife of someone. Not because they didn't, do a good job, but because they supported their husband. You low down. That should disqualify you from any type of office in this union. But it starts at the top and it trickles down through all the other locals. They don't want you to speak out. We were campaigning today here in Southern California. Group come out, starts trying to intimidate, people we're talking to. For what? We have a democratic right to hand out our flyers, talk to the people, let the members make a decision. If your man is as good as he say he is, the members are going to vote him in. If he's not, they have a right to vote him out. And we know that he's not as good as everybody says he is. Just look at what's going on right now. He's not. Whenever you take a picture with Kristi Noem, you should be disqualified. You take a picture, you give thumbs up to Donald Trump, you should be disqualified. Where's the fight for all of our workers being laid off? Because to your point, they don't have health care either. Their buildings are closing. No health care, no wages. What are we doing about these other issues that's going on in the Teamsters? These other companies taking our work going back to the post office. What are we doing? If your man is as good as he say he is, you ain't got to worry about intimidating nobody. The members are going to put him back in there. They know that he's in trouble, and they want to do whatever they can, intimidate, retaliate, harass, but it's not going to work this time. Because, I don't mean to cut you off, because the kitchen table issues are on everybody's mind. The fact that I lost my health care, not because I did something wrong, because I wasn't protected. The language didn't protect my job. It didn't protect my building. It didn't protect all these other things from happening. Now I'm losing. I sent you all these dues money. What did I get for it?
And there was a rally in Sacramento. I was at it. I taped it. And that was a protest of Newsom, or a rally to demand that he sign the bill. At that rally, the president, Sean O'Brien, said that he had stopped AI and robotics in UPS. I mean, I couldn't believe it at the time. Right. How do you stop AI and robotics? But the fact that he said something like that to people, I mean, it's like kind of crazy, that you can stop AI and robotics.
And that's the issue. Because also in Philadelphia, he said that he brought UPS he was going to bring UPS to their knees. That's what he said. And then he goes and says, hey, man, we stopped automation. But to that single mom who just got laid off because of AI and automation, what are we telling her? What are we telling her right now? To that father who just building clothes because you said you stopped automation and AI and you bring them to their knees, what are we telling him right now? We're not telling him nothing because all we do is talk.
And in California, as well as the rest of the country, the issue of health and safety, injuries is a very serious issue. Yeah. People are injured on the job, and in California, there are less than 200 OSHA inspectors for 18 million workers. So, I mean, there have been deaths of Teamsters in Richmond, all over the country. They're growing. It seems like these employers, UPS and other companies, they don't give a damn if you're injured and you die because of the lack of health and safety protection.
Correct. And then, like you just said, Trump comes in and dismantles that. NLRB, he dismantles that. EEOC dismantles that. Now he makes another thing where the LGBTQ community in the AOC, they lost some more protections.
Well, getting rid of DEI, I mean, the idea that we shouldn't enforce discrimination laws, what's behind that?
Racism. This is what it is. This country, again, was built by black and brown people. And we are led to believe that all we are able to do is just be whatever the ruling class wants us to be. They don't believe that people who look like me and my brothers here deserve anything more than what they give us. And DEI, from what I've been told, it doesn't benefit us. It benefits people who don't look like us.
Well, equality, shouldn't that benefit everyone? When you have equality, shouldn't that, and raise the standards of all workers? If you protect workers, that should benefit all workers. The stronger you are and the more protection you have, the better for all working people.
Right, and the ruling class, they do that very well. They divide us by race, classification, race, culture, who we love, who we worship. But until the working class, again, to your point, gets together, we're always going to be having these discussions of why things are not Right, or better. Until we get together, things will never be better.
And one of the lessons of Minneapolis Teamster strike in 1934, a general Teamster strike, which most Teamsters don't even know about.
Right.
They're not educated about the history of the labor movement, not just in your union, but many unions.
Right.
You know, my unions, labor education is pretty much absent,
Right.
the history of workers in this country. But one of the lessons is mass worker movements and general strikes, particularly like in San Francisco, after the general strike in 1934 of the ILWU, hundreds of thousands of workers joined unions, because companies were afraid to fire people for joining a union because of the general strike. And we talk about organizing at Amazon. We need a mass workers movement to organize. A general strike of all workers would organize millions of workers. Isn't that the potential?
I agree. I think once workers start to see that power within the working class, all of us coming together, you're going to see a movement that you've never seen before. Like you just said, it's going to be millions of workers wanting to be a part of something bigger than what they are, than what they have right now. Right now, I think union density is 6% or something around there. That's the lowest it's ever been. We're going to have to change that, because other countries, I believe somebody said in France, I believe is 3/4 of the country is union.
Well, they have councils, work councils. I covered a railroad strike there, that they had a national railroad strike to protect their pension. And the way they do it there is every group of depots of workers would vote on whether to continue the strike. This was rank and file democracy.
That's the power that has to be here in America. Now, I know it's going to take, it'll probably never happen in our lifetime.
Oh, I don't agree with that. One of the things that my lifetime, we haven't experienced a working class movement in this country since the 1930s and 40s.
Right, exactly.
And that's when the CIO was built. That's when millions of workers joined unions. But I think what Trump is doing now is actually provoking people. The agitators are telling people, we're going to destroy you.
Right.
And they're forcing people to say, I've got to fight. I've got to stand up.
I agree with that. Again, Trump, he's a horrible person, but he has really put us on the forefront. We have to look in the mirror to see what we want to do. We can't just sit back and let him do what he wants to do. Not just Trump, just the ruling class in general. And he's a spokesman for the ruling class right now. He is. And we need to find our spokesman, which is going to be our members. They have to be in the forefront. They have to be pushing the agenda. They have to be fighting. But we as leaders, we need to be with them, leading them through this struggle and through this fight. And I know we've been talking about this throughout this interview, but until that happens, we're going to be always having these conversations about what we need to do. We know what we need to do. We just need to do it.
Well, one of the things you did, which I think was important, is you organized in your local meetings of Amazon workers, postal workers, Teamsters, UPS, as a way of we're all together. We're all and the idea that as a collective force, instead of fighting each other, we should organize together.
I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe nobody here is our enemy, right? I believe that the ruling classes that's our enemy. And we have to put our differences aside and make sure we focus on who the true enemy is. The postal workers are not the UPS workers' enemy. FedEx, we're all in the same boat, man. The warehouse, no matter what job you have, you are not my enemy. The bosses realize that. That's why they keep winning. That's why they keep passing these laws to keep putting us down. Look at the minimum wage. Nationally, it's still $7.25. Why is that? So you got, I think in 2012, I think Jeff Bezos, his wealth was around, man, I saw the number, but it was like somewhere around, it was less than $10 billion, I want to say. Now in 2026, my man is almost worth $1 trillion. But guess what didn't go up? The federal minimum wage. What does that tell you? We as workers need to have a mass movement, to your point, to make sure that we increase these minimum wage and also increase union density and put pressure on these so-called pro-labor politicians. If you want to continue to keep getting our endorsement, keep getting our money, this is what we need from you when you in D.C.
And the growth of fascism, which is racism, in this country and globally, not just in the United States. Trump is helping fascist parties around the world, blaming immigrants, attacking black, brown people around the world. It seems like this growth of fascism is a life and death question for the working class. If they're divided up and fighting each other, how are they going to fight these trillionaires?
We're not going to fight alone. We're not going to be able to win by ourselves. We did the Teamsters have this shirt that says Teamsters versus everybody. That's the most craziest thing I ever saw. We need everybody to fight against the ruling class. That's what the shirt should say. That's what it should say, but it doesn't. So we can't have any labor union isolated from the rest of the working class. Everybody got to be in lockstep because everybody's fighting the same thing, right? But when you have, leaders who want to be with the ruling class and put the members in jeopardy and things like that, we will never be what we can be because of people like that. It's not going to happen.
So what should Teamsters do who want to get in touch with you, who want to support your campaign and feel that it's time? You call your slate the Fearless?
Fearless Slate, absolutely. So if they want to reach out to us, they can go to be-fearless.org. There's our website. You get a chance to meet all the members on our slate. You can donate. Now you got to be a Teamster to donate, so we don't want to get jammed up. So if you're not a Teamster, you can't donate any funds. But if you want to help us get the message out, you can definitely reach out to us. Follow us on all social media. If you got questions for us, please reach out to us. You can reach out to us through the website, through social media. You can contact us through anything.
And you have a video now that you just came out with, Stop the Torture, about what's happening with these cameras.
Yes.
And
yes.
The idea of AI, these infrared cameras, what is that all about?
So it was done by our good brother Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson and Mike Moxley are members on our Fearless Slate. They have been working tirelessly on these cameras.
They're long haul team UPS team.
Teamsters. One is a feeder driver. Eric Johnson is a feeder driver, and Mike Moxley is the president of Local 29. They're both on our slate. They've been working very, very tirelessly on the cameras because we were told that the cameras were a strike issue by our general president. And lo and behold, the cameras are still in the truck and we didn't go on strike. But that's a story for another day. So they've been working tirelessly with NIOSH and OSHA, getting this information out there, and couldn't find out that everything that we were told about these cameras, straight up lie. These things cause damage, there's a health risk, and it's a problem for our drivers. Nobody wants to be spied on. The company's using it to go after workers. It's a health issue, and the Teamsters have remained silent, but not the Fearless Slate, because you're no longer going to be able to lie to us and not get a pushback.
And these workers are getting tumors. They're getting cataracts.
Yes.
I mean, they're being tortured.
Yes.
And they're like guinea pigs, and they're training these cameras. Aren't they training these cameras to get rid of drivers entirely? Use them?
I would say so, because why would you need them? If you say you can't use them for discipline, then why would you need the camera? You're doing it to replace the worker. That's what UPS is doing. See, we think about tomorrow, the Teamsters. UPS and these other companies, they think about 10, 15 years down the line. We got to be proactive. Start thinking about what are we going to be doing for our members 10, 15 years from now? Because tomorrow is already too late, as you see. We got to start thinking about 10, 15 years from now.
And I know Eric went to the Teamsters Health and Safety Department, asked them to take this up. I mean, the idea that people are getting cataracts and cancers because of these cameras and tumors, and the union doesn't do anything about it, what does that say about what the hell's going on?
There's so much I could say about that. I just don't know. Some of the stuff that happens in the Teamsters organization is unbelievable. When members bring you concerns and we don't address them, then what are we really doing? What are we doing? And things like this, we give these people from the National Right to Work campaign and people who want a union bus, we give them all the ammunition they need to say unions are no good, because we're sending you all of our dues money, and now I'm getting cataracts in my eye because you said that the cameras were not going to be in the truck. Now I got cataracts, now I got tumors, but you said they weren't going to be in the truck. But I just sent you all this money to protect me from the cataracts, from the tumor. You said we were going on strike.
And if you stood up for your members and stopped these cameras and appealed to the Amazon workers who face the same thing. To join the Teamsters, to get involved and join them to protect your health and safety.
Right. And not just UPS workers or Amazon workers, all workers, because I'm quite sure non-union carriers have cameras in their trucks. This could benefit the entire working class. Just by standing up to the company and doing what you said you were going to do. We're going to strike if the cameras are in the trunks. That one thing could have led to a lot of these non-union carriers not having cameras in the trunks.
And they would see the power of the union, of the Teamsters. That's a reason to join.
An organizing tool, and we just dropped it yet again.
Okay, well, thank you, Richard.
Thank you. And again, if you are a Teamster, I got to say this before we go. When you get your ballot in the mail, nobody's going to know who you voted for. When you go out to the convention, it's going to be private. Your vote is sacred, and it's also secret. And nobody can force you to vote a certain way. Nobody's going to be looking over your shoulder. When you get in that booth, it's going to be you and your ballot. Make sure you vote fearlessly. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, this is Steve Zeltzer with Workweek, and we're here in Southern California, and there's going to be a convention on the issue of AI and workers and labor. And also there's going to be a press conference at Rob Bonta's office tomorrow in Southern California office, the Attorney General of California. And we're talking with Hannibal Aguilar, and he's a Teamster here. He's part of the Fearless Slate. Hannibal, what's going on? You were out campaigning today, and you had an incident.
Well, I went out and campaigned with Richard Hooker Jr. He's running for the IBT president. I'm running for the vice president of the Western region. So we went out to my local, Local 396. We went out to my building in Olympic in downtown LA. And, it was going good. We're handing out flyers. We're talking with the rank and file. We're talking about issues that the local doesn't necessarily bring up. And then you have one BA show up. Then another one shows up. They're at each corner of the street. They're screaming. They're telling people not to take our flyers. So then another BA shows up, and then another one.
So you had 4 BAs from Local 396.
I'm not done. So then you had another one. So then you had another one. So then you had another one, and maybe another one, and then a little while after that, another one. And they were right there. And they were coming out with everything they could possibly throw at me as being a Teamster. They even called me a meester because I only care about me. But
I mean, the intimidation, that they're paid people from the union.
yeah, I pay them.
You pay their salaries, and they had a major mobilization.
They had a major mobilization, and not against UPS, the corporation or the company, but against one of the rank and file that wanted to run, to do my democratic process of running as an American and running as a Teamster. And they want to silence that. And they want to intimidate. And you know what? They didn't intimidate me. But how many drivers that were walking in got intimidated? And that's why they do it. But
It's a style and a culture of bullying workers. Is that part of the problem of the labor movement? The workers are afraid because they don't have a democratic right. There's no democratic debate and process where workers can have discussion and debates.
Well, I think that I can't really speak for other local or unions, right? I can really speak for the local that I'm in and the locals that are near me because I have close relationships with people in 952 and 63, Local 63. And from what I've and they've figured out was that this is a constant in every local. It's intimidation, it's fear, it's the cool kids club. But
the idea, it's a business unionism, and a lot of these officials feel that this is their business. You're getting in their business.
Well, the sad thing I'll say is this, is that I've been a UPS driver for a long time. And I've never been, I've had a supervisor chest bump me once, but I've never been disrespected the way I have by my own union, by the own people that are rank and file. And the reason they're doing it is maybe because they want to stay in their jobs, but if they really look at the big picture of what's going on in the United States, if they look at the big picture of what's going on in the labor movement, they're on the wrong side right now. And I'm hoping that they'll open their eyes and see that we have to, like, instead of intimidating the working class, intimidating your rank and file, you have to empower them. You have to talk about that camera. But the union doesn't want to talk about that camera because it's in our cabs, and they don't want to go on strike. They're not going to talk about it. But I'm here talking about it. Me, the meester. But in the long run, I'm a Teamster because I'm doing it for everybody. And we're talking about the cameras. They're not tested. They weren't tested. There was no studies done by UPS. They just put them in our cars and they told us to go. I don't agree on that. I push back. You have companies that are subcontracting out of UPS and doing our jobs, the last mile, the full mile, whatever the case may be. I don't agree with that. I'm going to push back. And they say, well, why don't you file a grievance? Because the last time I tried to file a grievance, you said there was no merit. So this is my other option, is to use my voice. And that's what I'm doing. And no matter how nasty those guys got today, I still...
They're afraid of you.
Well...
I mean, it seems like to mobilize 8 business agents for a few guys out handing out leaflets?
I think you're shortchanging them. I think it was maybe 10 to 11. You're shortchanging them, but...
So that was a major mobilization. I mean, have they ever brought those numbers of people to a company?
The last time I saw that much mobilization was in the practice pickets, right? And I find it interesting that Teamsters and people that only want to do their democratic process and bring empowerment and knowledge to our work, our rank and file, are the ones that they're mobilizing against. They're not mobilizing against UPS because of the cameras in our truck. They're not mobilizing against UPS because of subcontracting. They're not mobilizing against the sanitation workers that have cameras in their truck and that are always told, what are you doing every second of the day. They're not mobilizing against Starbucks. You know, that's maybe they were, but are they still at the strike line now? Are they mobilizing every day just to make sure that people remember what they've done? I don't think so. They mobilized against a rank and file Teamster, someone that wants to go and run to the top because he already knows that the middle and the bottom, that's already corrupted. And how do you fix something? Is you start from the top and you work your way down. And I saw that as something that I wanted to do, something that I wanted to attain. But did they intimidate me? No. Did they make me want to do this and to keep on going and to talk a little louder? Yes. And I appreciate that in them. That's why my Teamster brothers are there for me too, because they pushed me today. And they told me, hey, there's nothing that we can do to stop you, so then it means there's nothing anybody else can do to stop me. And that's about it.
And for people who are going to fight to organize and defend themselves and their brothers and sisters on the job, you have to be fearless because the pressure that you face.
You really do. And this is a plea, right? This is a plea to you. This is a plea to my brother over here and to my brother Hooker. This is a plea to everybody else that if we don't start mobilizing, no matter what aisle you are on politically, no matter what you are, no matter what religion you are, race you are, no matter what you are, even if you're not an American, you're an immigrant to this country. We have to start fighting for our jobs. We have to fight against automation. We have to fight against AI. We have to fight because it's coming sooner than we know. And by the time it's here, we're gonna try to mobilize then because these guys are too late already, and we're gonna be way too late.
I mean, if they get rid of hundreds of thousands of workers, what does that mean to pensions? How are the pensions going to be maintained? How are your conditions of people getting ready to retire and all the workers are eliminated? I mean, isn't that going to destroy the whole pension system of the unions?
Well, I think we already know that question, right? A pension can't contain where it's at if it's not being influxed with money every day.
The robots don't provide pensions.
No, the robots don't provide pensions. What the robots are going to do is they're going to systematically take pensions away, and then what it's going to do is they're going to start taking food away from your table. You're not going to be able to afford to send your child to college. You're not going to even afford to even maybe clothe or put a full meal on the table anymore. You've got to make a lot of money in Southern California to even live here. And to survive with the rising food cost, with everything rising, it's going to be a lot more difficult. And as we start to shatter, because Trump's made this environment in the United States that way, that's what they're hoping on. But I'm hoping that us as working class, us as people that care and have empathy, I think people forget that word, empathy, and especially the ones in power, then we have a good opportunity to change it. And we have to do it now.
And California, biggest state in the country, wealthiest state in the country, yet, I mean, trade war, so many parts of the economy are being affected, attacks on public education. He's destroying public education. Teamsters at UC, they're facing mass layoffs of researchers. Agriculture workers are closing down plants. Teamster plants in Central Valley are closing because of this trade war. People don't want to buy products from the United States. We're being boycotted by the Canadians. There's an app now you can get on how to avoid American products. What does that say to people in California, workers in California, that's based itself on trade all over the world?
Well, I'm a UPS driver, so my job directly is affected by people who order products to their home. So if you're not ordering that product from wherever you're getting it from, then that means that package isn't in my car. And that means that's one less stop that day that I could do. So as people stop ordering because of the tariffs, and people don't understand this, that tariffs affect everything. Your tires might have been made in the United States, but that rubber comes from somewhere else. We don't have rubber in the United States. We get that from other places. Now that has a tariff on it. So that's applied to the people that make the tires. Their costs went up. So who else's cost is going to go up? It's us, because we pay that. But if you're not buying the products, and that means me as a driver, I'm losing work. And now that UPS is going into different companies, Roadie, Happy Returns, Mark, and all these different medical companies that they're putting their hands in and having different people do our job that we did it once, that's scab work and a way of subcontracting, right? So that's why I say, like, everybody now has to wake up, and we have to start fighting for our jobs, because the corporations and the multi-rich have found ways to take our jobs away, right? They're like lawyers. They'll put something on there, but you better read that fine print. And we haven't read that fine print yet. But I think we're all starting to put our glasses on and really looking at it now.
So you think people are waking up in this country?
I really do. I think that campaigning with Richard Hooker Jr. for the IBT president, and we went to a few yards, some in San Diego County, Orange County. We went to Inland Empire. We went to LA County, and the reception from people was wonderful. They took once we told them that I'm a UPS driver, once we told them what we believed in, their eyes opened up, and they actually looked like they had hope, right? A lot of times they come in, they look defeated. They come out, they look defeated. But when they talk to us, they said, "Oh shit, somebody knows why I feel defeated," and they want to change that.
And the strike at UPS by Ron Carey, that was a tremendous struggle. And around part-time work, not just for Teamsters, but for all workers.
Yeah.
You can't make it on part-time work.
Yeah.
The gig economy. I mean, this is a question for millions of workers. They're being forced into gig work. They can't survive.
I will say this about that. We were talking about Ron Carey with the brothers in the car on the way here. And I think he takes a lot of heat a lot of times. People always need to kind of like break down people that do things. But I think during his term, like my brother Big Will said, you know, he was the most militant of the presidents of the Teamsters that we've ever had. And I was 19 years old when I went through the 97 strike. And I didn't understand what the union was. I didn't even know who Ron Carey was, to be honest with you. I barely found that out maybe 5 years after I was in the strike. But I did see solidarity. I saw what worker power did. And
that was all unions coming together. It wasn't just about Teamsters. I mean, that's something that happened. It was a workers' issue for all unions, all workers.
And a big thing, too, is you got to look at the practice pickets that we had, those practice ones, you know, the ones that we went out there and we pretended we were going to, what we really should do, we pretended what we should do. But everybody was behind us. We had the news media come out. They wanted to talk about the ACs in the truck. They were behind us. They know how hot it gets in their own car. They can only imagine the pain and suffering we get in the back of that truck when it's 120. And
People are dying.
No, they are. It's hot, and it's hard work. And we don't have a fridge in that truck. And a lot of guys, once you get to work, you don't bring ice, or there's an ice machine, but once you get to work, if you get there late, you're not getting ice, right? And I know that because I do the job, and I still know about the ice machine. And I think that's the problem, is that we do a hard job. There's a lot of pressure on us every day, the heat, the work, the heavy boxes, not enough water. Maybe you drank enough that day, but you never know what your body needs, and you can't have that much water in your truck. But we're also told, go faster. What are you doing for this 5 seconds? What are you doing for this 7? So the micromanagement and the pushing from UPS to just do more with less time. But yet drink water, do this, do that. It's becoming to a point that I'm like, where's my union? Why is this happening? I'm a shop steward. I can only do as much as the power of my local. And it's a hard job. Being a Teamster is a hard job. No one ever said it wasn't, right?
Yeah. They have tremendous power if they act together.
Well, once we come together, once we start to see that the top that is endorsing Governor Abbott, somebody that said that if you pass a law that's good for workers but it goes against Texas law, then your law is not applicable. Somebody
that's a union-free state, or they don't want unions.
No, they don't.
And yet the Teamsters in Texas are endorsing this governor.
Yes.
I mean, how can that be? I mean, the guy is.
You tell me. Can you tell me? Because I'm rank and file. I pay my dues. I want to know too. Tell me what that man has ever done for the working class in Texas or in the United States. Absolutely nothing. And if he's getting the Teamster endorsement, this Teamster is not endorsing him. And that's all I got to say. And I'm not speaking for everybody, but I think I'm speaking for a large amount of Teamsters when they say, Governor Abbott, like, what are you on? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. I don't know. But,
But you're fighting on.
We got to fight on. Because if we don't, who else is going to do it? The leaders have systematically left us. The leaders have systematically let what's going on in the United States and what's going on in the working class community happen. And there's no pushback from our politicians. You have someone like Newsom who is fighting against Trump, and I appreciate that. But I do not appreciate the way that he treats his working class people. If we voted on that or our legislation passed it, don't veto it. That means that the people wanted that. Don't veto it. That means that's for the people, not for Silicon Valley. Very upset about that, but you do what you do. You have to keep going. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep letting people know that Newsom might do one good, but in the long run, is he doing good for the working class people of California? You have to keep talking. You have to keep engaging. And no matter what, if someone has a different opinion than you, don't ever get mad from it. Take what they say, process it, try to take what you can, try to take what you can understand what they think, and use that. But other than that, don't get mad at them, because in the long run, that's still a human being, and that's still your brother, that's still your sister.
I'm William. I'm a 32-plus year package car driver at UPS out of Cerritos. I'm here to talk about what's happening in our workplaces, that we don't practice democracy anymore, that if we don't feel democracy in our places or in our communities, how are we supposed to act? That muscle gets atrophied. And when I came up as a part-timer, I think the business agents there knew that because we were young, impressionable, right off the street, right? So they forged, by doing those actions, by making us feel we were part of a union, they forged the next crop of trade unionists. And that's what happened to me. That was my experience. My business agent back at the time would go around the building screaming and yelling from the rafters, who has a union contract? Who doesn't have one? And if you don't have one, we're going to give it to you right now. And he would hand out union contracts to us part-timers on the load side, We were sweating, dripping with sweat, but here was a man, a business agent that was giving us our contract, making sure that we knew our rights on the job. That was incredible to me. That touched me.
He was fighting for you.
He was fighting for me, yes. Also, the shop stewards. I remember one time we were outside of the old Soto building off of Washington and Soto in Boyle Heights, historic East Los Angeles, right by Vernon. I went to the gates once out of the parking lot, and I saw a group of people outside. I didn't know what was happening by the guard shack. And the shop steward was, as I approached the gate, the shop steward said, "Wait, you can't go any further. We're not going in until the company recognizes us, because the full-time drivers are getting this benefit and we're not." We just saw the lights being turned off one by one inside. All the lights being turned off on load side and unload. And we sat down, basically a sit-down strike. That was action. That touched me, and I said, that's what being in a union's all about. Then right after that, the 97 strike came. And like you were talking to Brother Hannibal over here, that really sparked my politics. It just made me who I am today. Those drivers, those full-timers, they took a giant risk because they had car payments, they had mortgages, they had all that at the time, and they went on a strike for us part-timers. And the slogan, what was the slogan back then? The slogan was, "Part-time America isn't working. Part-time America does not work." That was Ron Kerry's strategy. So after the successful strike, about a year or two later, I became full-time. They created two part-time jobs into one. UPS was able to do that and afford that. They were always able to do that and afford that. But it just took a militant action to get those gains from the company, and that's what we need now. If we're going to get those cameras out of the truck, that's what we're going to need. If we're going to stop AI and automation, that's what we're going to need. We're going to need worker actions. We're going to need campaigns, right? Like the brothers we're talking about right now. We're going to need informational campaigns. People standing out in front. Like when I was a part-timer, when TDU used to mean something to me, they would give out the convoy dispatch, and I would pour over all that information because it was so educational. It was so good. That's what we need to do again. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about, Steve.
And you think things are changing? Do you think people are waking up?
I think
the conditions are very bad for people.
The conditions politically in the United States are very bad for people. Like you guys were talking about in Minneapolis, we've seen those people, two of our brother, one union brother gets shot to death, and another mother gets shot in her car. And we're facing massive layoffs all over the place because of automation and AI. And people need to, and I think they are waking up right now, because we wouldn't have seen that general strike in Minnesota, right? If people weren't waking up. And it sparked action all across the country. In Los Angeles, they basically shut down the federal building here, right after that, soon after. So I think people are waking up. Our union members and the Teamsters are waking up. They're not buying the harassment and bullying that they're seeing right now.
Well, the terrorism against immigrants. People are afraid to go out of their homes. Kids in school are being raided. Schools, hospitals. Is this a police state?
It is a police state. I've seen it. I've been down to Alameda and Temple Street with my fellow protesters, and I've seen these tanks that'll swoop up on us and shoot rubber bullets and tear gas. That's happened to me on the streets. And I was out there because I feel the need to protect my community, an immigrant community. That's who I am,
And California, there are millions of immigrants here. Millions of immigrants built this community. In fact, the Latinos were here before the white people came. It used to be part of Mexico.
Right, and that's why it bothers me as a Teamster that my general president takes pictures with Kristi Noem, the leader of ICE and all of those fascists. That was beyond the pale for me. It just was really insulting. As a son of immigrants, my grandfather came from Mexico City. My mother was an immigrant from Mexico, and They got here, they had no papers, but you know what? They came here with the American dream and they made it happen. And now I'm here as a Teamster. My dad was a Teamster as well. So it's really, really insulting, like, for all this to be happening right now in our union, in the streets. It's just, this has to stop and we need to change.
And you know, it's amazing to me that in the first term even, Trump was attacking black people, he was attacking brown people. This is the membership of our unions.
Exactly, and it's
like, if you don't stand up for your membership, who do you stand up for?
right. When you take that oath to become general president of a union, you have to protect all your members. That means your brown members, your black members, white members, everyone, your gay members, everyone, you know. And that's what sparked me to come and help out with the Richard Hooker campaign, to be honest. You know, I'm running on a delegate slate to make change in my union. I want to see change, and the only way we're going to see change is if we rank and file take over our unions and point them in the right direction, because right now our unions are going in the wrong direction. We're supposed to be punching up when we're punching down, and that's not right. That's not what we should be doing.
And there's a strike wave happening now. The Kaiser workers are on strike, the teachers in California. This is a rich state. You've got over 100, 200 billionaires in California, yet people are going hungry.
Yeah.
People can't get housing.
Yeah, that's an indictment on the system that we live in, you know, like it is literally the ruling class versus the working class, you know. It literally is. I mean, these people, they just want to extract from our productivity and not give anything back to us. And this really needs to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is if we organize. We organize in our communities and our unions. We must do it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is an urgent call to everybody that watches this video. Get involved with your unions. Take them over. You know, enough with the business unionism. We need class struggle unions in this country. That's what we need here.